Hey, hockey fans, welcome to Goal Line Hockey. As today, we're going to take a look at the newest hire in the Buffalo Sabres organization. Ralph Krueger hired as the new Buffalo Sabres head coach. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe as we take a look at some of the history and the hopeful future of the Buffalo Sabres. So, let's talk about the Buffalo Sabres. Just a little fun fact, the Buffalo Sabres have missed the playoffs 8 straight seasons now after this season. So 8 straight years of no playoffs for Buffalo, and that's pretty disappointing. There's some pretty hardcore fans up there in Buffalo. They really support their team, but recently there hasn't been much to cheer about. Besides getting guys like Jack Eichel and Rasmus Dahlin in the top two in the last couple of draft lotteries, besides that, Buffalo really hasn't found success in terms of on the ice. They found a little success in the draft lottery and on the draft board, but haven't had much to show with it behind that. So, looking at Ralph Krueger, he has a pretty lengthy history over the last couple of years. He was a former Edmonton Oilers head coach. He was 19, 22, and 7, so he was an interim head coach. And he was in Nashville with the Predators as an assistant for a little while. With that, he's also won 5 consecutive Austrian championships. So that was, in the 90s, he was in Europe, a head coach there, and he won a couple championships. So pretty much a dynasty there in Austria. So that's pretty good. And he's helped support the World Cup team Europe. Now, remember a couple years back, the World Cup, before the season began, the World Cup was on, and we saw some, interesting teams, to say the least. We saw your usual Team USA, Team Canada, Team Russia, and then you started getting into a situation where certain teams were bundled all into one team. So you had Team Europe, which was basically a bunch of mixed, countries together, which is what it is, I guess. I don't completely think that was the best move. And then you have like a Young Guns team, which was kind of interesting, Team North America. So it was interesting to say the least, but Team Europe surprised some people. They actually had a pretty good run, and people feel that this guy Ralph Krueger had something to say about that. Overall, I think Buffalo. This is a tough time to be a Buffalo Sabres fan, and here's why. I really want to say that this guy is going to be the guy that turns it around and gets things going in Buffalo. And I'm not saying that he can't, but I'm just a little bit concerned that they aren't going with a well-established NHL coach. And I know they're hard to come by, and maybe they don't want to come to your team. Or there's been rumors that they haven't been willing to pay up. They were in on Mike Babcock. Most recently, they were in on LA's head coach. So they're missing out on opportunities for NHL-proven head coaching staff guys, and they're falling short. And Phil Housley, everybody was so excited about Phil Housley coming to Buffalo just a year ago, and he's out the door now. So, people's perception, everybody seems to be pretty upset in Buffalo about this, but I would stay patient, see how he does, and there isn't a ton of patience in Buffalo. But the problem is, there isn't enough stability either. They're not willing to commit to a plan. And I'm seeing that a lot with my sports teams, the Mets, the New York Mets, and the New York Jets. Just, they're kind of out of whack. It's a little bit off the board, but you need a team that's they have their goal, they have what they need, they know what they have to get better at moving forward. And for Buffalo, I think that's keeping the guys that you have, keeping Jeff Skinner, finding some more depth on the back end, and a little bit more depth up front, and I think Buffalo will be okay. Goaltending was a little bit shaky. I thought Carter Hutton was a good pickup last summer, but at points this year he kind of struggled as a starter, and we've seen that backups becoming starters and having problems. So Buffalo has to get this figured out this summer. I mean, this is now like what, the second or third big like change in the organization. When Dan Bylsma came in, they were going to be like the Pittsburgh Penguins. They were going to do everything, mock Pittsburgh the way they did everything. Got former Penguin players, and that didn't work. Bylsma was gone. Then we see Botterill come in, Phil Housley, and that doesn't work. So, and now we have a new guy. So you're seeing the pattern here. There's no commitment, and even if things go wrong, you need to give it at least 2 or 3 years. But it seems like the window is now with Jack Eichel and Rasmus Dahlin coming up. So Buffalo has some big decisions to make, and someone's got to figure this out, because Buffalo, I don't even want to say this right now, but how is Rasmus Dahlin feeling in Buffalo right now? Is he going to want to re-up after his 3-year entry? They need to prove to these players that is worth sticking around. And I don't think it's a big problem. I don't think it's going to be a problem him staying there. But it's food for thought. And we saw what a problem what a catastrophe they almost had there with Jack Eichel not signing. That's why Bosma left. So now you're seeing players taking over. And I hate to say this, but are you going to see that with Lou Lamoriello? Is a player going to go up to Lou Lamoriello and tell him, if you don't fire that coach, I'm not signing? Yeah, bye-bye. See you later. There's no stability in Buffalo, and they really need that. I think that's one of their biggest things that they need moving forward, and we'll see how they do with the draft this year. And moving forward, Buffalo, I don't know. It's a broken record. Make the playoffs, but you need to be patient, and you need a plan. And now it seems like Buffalo's just starting over again. So, sorry to get a little bit of, a little bit upset with the Buffalo Sabres, but I know Buffalo fans are very upset about the Sabres, especially this season. There was so much promise and hope really coming into November, December, and it just fell off the tracks completely. So make sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe. Thank you for checking us here at Goal Line Hockey.